Okay, so now that I've got that property boundary established, something I always like to do is make that visible in section and elevation. So just so it's clear what I mean, if I open up one of these elevations, the south elevation for example, or the section is looking in the same direction, I can't tell where the property is there. Right, so I think it really will help you a lot if you go back into the plan view, either ground floor or the site plan, doesn't matter. And then in that view, draw reference planes by tracing over the boundaries. And those you like to extend those reference planes so that they stick out from the corners, just to make them easier to select. Okay, so these are reference planes. Yeah. Okay, so tracing all the boundaries, it might seem like an extra unnecessary step, but as you work more with this project, you'll see how useful it is. So having drawn those 4 reference planes, now if I open up, say, the south elevation, I can see them. So these two reference planes I can see in this elevation. When I go back to the ground floor plan, you can see are these two here, left and right. And then again, going back to the section, of course we'll see them there as well. I've just highlighted them blue so they stand out. If I go though to my east elevation, I can see the other pair of reference planes. So I'll highlight them now, and we can see in the ground floor plan, it's these two longer planes. And so from that point on, you can start setting up the views to make them a bit more effective. So we've got those 4 elevation views, which begin out a fair distance from the project. And when we do the initial projects with you, we just let you leave them there. But now that you've been using Revit for a little while, we have an idea how useful it is to have these elevations set up and ready to go as a working view. And so to do that, you can simply select them. The easy way is select them with a window. And it's best to do it that way because there are actually 2 elements there, 2 objects that you need to select. And you can see over in properties now it tells me common with 2 in brackets to tell me there are 2 things. So I've selected both of them. Again, just making a window around the symbol. And then I'm going to drag that up onto the site. So this is something you usually should do when you're first beginning the setup of your project, because there's no way Revit can know how big your project's going to be. Right, so they give you these views set up for, I suppose, a medium-sized building, but then if it's a large building, you'd have to bring them out. If it's a small building like this, you've got to bring them in. So I'll select, again, the north elevation at the top using a window to select both the objects, and then dragging, I can place that onto my site. And I'll do that first with the section before I fix the other views. So I'm going to select the section now, shorten that line at both ends. But remember, that's the symbol. The view is this dashed line. So I've got to use the arrows there to bring those in as well. Oh, yeah, when you just click on the line of the section, yeah, that's it. Yeah. And so then these elevations now can be brought as well so that they're sitting on the site. So now I'll go and open up that south elevation again. And have you noticed what's changed? What's different? Exactly, the ground now is cut. So we've got a heavy line for the top and we can see the hatch. Now you may be thinking that an elevation view shouldn't show the ground hatch. And that's true, it shouldn't. We'll hide that later. But we still want the elevation to be cutting through the ground so we get that nice heavy line for the ground line, and also so that the building itself is going to be hidden if part of it goes below the ground. Okay, so that's a good basic setup. And then continuing on, in this elevation view, now I can put in the levels. So I'll start with the ground floor level. That's at 0. So you can see in the set out drawing that I've given you, we've got a level called ground at 0. So rather than moving this level up and using it for my first floor, I'm going to use this for the ground. And that's, I think, always a good practice because this is tied to my site plan. So rather than using this for the ground floor, it's usually better to keep it at 0 and then simply change the name to either ground, or maybe so that it's clearer, we can call it ground line. And then when you're asked to rename corresponding views, always say yes. And so now in floor plans, you can see it says ground line as well. Okay, so that's really important. And then you can work up from there, from this point on, using the level tool. And the usual rule when you're drawing levels is to go left to right. So start with a point on the left, take it over to the right and give you a second point. Don't worry too much about the height that it starts on because you can easily change that. And so the first level above the ground is the lower floor or the lower ground, and that is at 300. And now we can see that it's going to be a bit difficult to work in this view with the text this size. So there are ways of adjusting the position of the text here, but an easy option there is to simply change the scale to 1 to 50. You can see how the text is a bit smaller. And so I'm just pressing escape so I can select this level again now. And then I can show you the way of moving this text to adjust it a bit further. So after selecting that level, you get this little break symbol. So let's say add elbow. I'm going to click there, and then I can use the grip to bring this one up. And maybe. Oh, so down here. Yeah, that's good. So because you should do that first, definitely. Yeah. Okay, so maybe the ground line text, I want that to come down. So I'll select that level first, just by clicking on the text. That's an easy way to select a level. Watch out, if you click on the arrow, that won't do anything. It's annoying, but it just doesn't do anything. So you need to either click on the line, like I do here, or on the text. So here, if I select the text, you've just got to move the cursor usually to find the elbow symbol. So there it is there. And then again, I can move this corner, and then again, bring the text up or down. This time I'll bring it down. And then maybe I'll bring this out even further just to make it easier for me to read. And I can, be really fussy, line this up. Okay, so it's up to you how neat you make it. It's really for you to be able to read those things. And so now I'll change the name of that to, let's call it lower floor, yep. Really it should be ground floor, but just to keep consistent, I'll call it that. And so then I'll make the next level here, level 1, the upper floor. So with that selected, I'll change the height to 2800. And then the name, obviously, to upper floor. Okay, so I'll make another 2 levels. So again, using the level tool. And I'll just put them in very roughly to start with. So 1 and then 2. So which one? Oh, on the architecture tab. It's over at the end. Yeah. Okay, so then we've got the next level is upper well, it says upper floor CL. You could call it upper CL if you really want to. Upper ceiling as well would be okay. Oh, so it means that over here the plans are going to change as well. So, yeah, and so then the final level is parapet. Okay, so obviously as I change the names of these levels, they're changing over here in the project browser. And then you can see we've got a problem. Just for your ease of use, it's going to be much harder if they're left this way because they're not in order of height, which you'd probably want. Now, if you know some of the more advanced things in Revit, you'd know maybe that there is a way of setting the views to go by height. Okay, so there is a way. I won't go too far into it, but if you're wondering, there is an option for sorting by the level ascending, in other words. And just to get into that, it's in, here we go, we've got to go level and then we can do ascending. So you would have to go level and we have to set it up. But there is a way, oh here we go, ascending, sorry, there we are. So once you get the levels set, you can make them ascending. That setup though is quite involved, so that's something for another day, but again, if you're wondering, there is a way of setting that option in Revit so that you don't have to do that complex setup though. That's what I was going to say. Another simpler way is just to give them numbers. So in here, if we go to the name, so this is the ground line, so that's going to be 0. It's up to you if you want to put a dash in. I don't think I'll put a dash in this time, so I'm just going to call it 0. And again, yes to rename corresponding views. It's really important, and you can see that obviously goes into the floor plan and the ceiling plan. That's why it's good to let it do it automatically. So then the next one, lower floor, is going to be 1. Upper floor will be 2. And so now you can see they're going in order, because it's just going by number, in the project browser. So upper ceiling will be 3, and then parapet will be 4. Okay, so now in the project browser, it's organised much more logically, and we've got then the views that don't have a number, the site and the true north, which are both site plans, basically. Right, so they both go at the bottom. So that's a good basic setup. But don't forget about the level heights as well. So finally I'll just tidy that last one up. I'm sure you can do that. So there we are, that'll do. So I'll give you a minute to maybe get those things done, and then we should be able to get onto the walls and get most of that set out done as well.